For a century now, we have had um, this incredibly simple, almost invisible social contract with our cars.
Mm-hmm.
You drive, that little needle on the dashboard dips toward the red E, you pull into a brightly lit gas station, you pump for 5 minutes, and you are done.
Right. It's totally predictable.
Exactly. The system requires, like, almost zero mental bandwidth.
It is a purely binary relationship. You have fuel or you don't. And the infrastructure to get that fuel is just sitting there, hiding in plain sight on practically every street corner in the world.
Yeah.
There is a deep psychological comfort in that reliability. You never really worry about being stranded because the solution is always just a mile away.
But then you step into the world of electric vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly that invisible, comforting infrastructure just vanishes.
It really does.
You are sitting behind the wheel of this incredible, silent, hyper-advanced piece of modern engineering, but fueling it feels like you are navigating completely uncharted territory.
Yeah, it's a huge shift.
You find yourself constantly staring at the battery percentage, doing mental math about miles and climate control. It turns driving into a math problem.
That is the absolute definition of range anxiety.
Right.
And honestly, looking at the data we are parsing for this deep dive, it is arguably the single most significant barrier in the entire global energy transition right now.
Wow.
Yeah, the vehicles themselves have evolved beautifully, but the ecosystem to support them is broken.
And the numbers back that up completely. I mean, EV adoption is skyrocketing all over the place, but the charging infrastructure is lagging way, way behind. We are talking about 60% of EV drivers reporting genuine struggles to find available working stations.
60%, that's huge.
Right. And nearly half of them are literally limiting their road trips or changing their daily routines because they're terrified of running out of juice on a highway with no charger in sight.
Which completely undermines the fundamental purpose of owning a vehicle in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
A car is supposed to represent freedom of movement. If you are chained for a 50-mile radius around your house because you don't trust the charging network, you haven't bought freedom. You've bought a very expensive electronic tether.
So that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to cut through all the hype, all the anxiety, and all the venture capital buzzwords to explore the wild, rapid evolution of EV charging across the globe.
Sounds good.
Because the industry knows they have a massive bottleneck, and their solutions are moving past standard charging poles and getting incredibly creative. We're pulling from a 2026 industry predictions report from Drives, some wild tech reports on Asian mobile charging from AC Mobility and Arergy.
That stuff is fascinating.
Right. And PR on North American expansions from B-Charged EV and Spark Charge. Plus, surprisingly, a local city council meeting agenda from Angels Camp, California.
Yes, the municipal side of things.
We'll get to that. But first, the traditional model of just pouring concrete and planting a charger is proving to be far too slow to match the speed at which consumers are buying these cars.
They have to adapt.
Okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into the crazy new hardware hitting the streets, and we have some wild stuff to talk about later, like roaming autonomous robots, we have to look at the macro trends shaping this 2026 landscape.
Right, the software and the macro trends.
Yeah. Looking through that industry predictions report from Drives, one thing is glaringly obvious. The raw speed of charging is finally catching up to gas stations.
It is.
We are seeing ultra-fast chargers pushing 350 kilowatts and up, paired with the rollout of solid-state batteries.
That combination is the holy grail for hardware enthusiasts.
Really? Why is that?
Well, solid-state batteries, unlike the older lithium-ion ones, don't use a liquid electrolyte. Because they are solid, they can take in a massive amount of energy much faster without instantly overheating.
Oh, gotcha.
When you pair a vehicle that has a solid-state battery with a 350 kilowatt charger, you are looking at the ability to jump from 0 to an 80% charge in just 15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes is a game changer. That's no longer a 2-hour ordeal at a strip mall. That's just a long bathroom break and a coffee stop.
Exactly.
But getting the car to accept the charge quickly is only half the battle.
Yeah.
The real issue is the grid delivering that charge.
That's the bottleneck.
Because if you drop a dozen 350 kilowatt chargers into a standard parking lot and plug 12 cars in at once, you're drawing the equivalent power of a small neighborhood.
That is where the software becomes just as important as the hardware. Utility companies impose something called demand charges on commercial properties.
Demand charges.
Yeah. A demand charge isn't just about the total amount of electricity you use. It's a massive financial penalty for the spike in your peak usage.
Oh, I see.
So if a grocery store has 10 ultra-fast chargers out front and 10 cars plug in at 5:00 p.m., the utility company hits that store with a staggering fee for stressing the local grid.
So how do you solve that? Because grocery stores aren't going to want these chargers if they bankrupt a business every day at rush hour.
This is where artificial intelligence is completely taking over energy management.
Okay, yeah, of course.
The AI acts as a traffic cop between the grid and the chargers. It communicates with the utility company in real time, monitoring dynamic pricing.
Okay.
If the grid is stressed and power is expensive, the AI might throttle the charging speeds down slightly, say extending a 15-minute charge to a 20-minute charge.
Just to avoid the fee.
Exactly. Just enough to keep the property from getting hit with that massive demand charge penalty, but fast enough that the driver barely notices.
And it goes even deeper than that with VDG, right? Or vehicle-to-grid technology.
Oh, V2G is incredible.
This concept absolutely fascinates me. It essentially turns your car into a financial day trader.
That's a great way to put it.
Because EVs have these massive batteries, the AI can look at the market and say, okay, power is dirt cheap right now at 3:00 a.m. because the wind farms are spinning but nobody is awake. So it charges your car. Then at 4:00 p.m., when the grid is struggling to keep air conditioners running across the city and electricity prices skyrocket, the AI literally sells a little bit of your car's stored power back to the grid at a premium.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, while a 350 kilowatt fast charger and a fleet of day trading cars sound incredible on paper, the physical reality of building this infrastructure is incredibly sobering.
Yeah.
Constructing traditional fixed charging stations takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months.
Wait, 2 years just to put a charger in a parking lot? Why does it take that long?
Think about the physical labor and the bureaucracy. You have to conduct environmental studies, get municipal zoning permits, dig up the concrete, and trench massive heavy-duty commercial cables back to a local substation.
Oh, wow.
And it costs around $50,000 per single port.
50 grand. That's wild.
The electrical grid in most legacy cities is just struggling to keep up with that kind of concentrated power draw. You simply cannot drop 50 ultra-fast chargers in an existing parking lot without fundamentally physically upgrading the local power grid.
Which explains why we are seeing this massive rise in what the industry is calling charging as a service, or CaaS.
Right.
Retailers like a big box store or a coffee chain desperately want chargers out front to attract wealthy EV drivers to their stores. But they absolutely do not want to spend 2 years dealing with utility permits.
Or pay $1 million upfront construction bill.
Yeah, exactly. And they definitely don't want to hire an energy manager to monitor those demand charges we just talked about.
So they just outsource the whole thing. A third-party company comes in, pays for the installation, manages the AI software, deals with the utility companies, and simply pays the retailer a leasing fee for the parking spaces.
That makes a lot of sense.
We are even seeing multi-fuel hubs popping up under this model, where they integrate hydrogen fueling alongside EV chargers.
Hydrogen too.
Yeah, this caters to heavy-duty trucking fleets, where battery weight is still too heavy for long-haul shipping, but zero-emission mandates are forcing them to adapt.
But even with third parties throwing money at the problem, that core physical bottleneck remains. Digging up pavement and waiting 2 years for a city permit is simply too slow for a market where EV sales are doubling year over year. The math just doesn't work.
The timeline is fundamentally incompatible with the urgency of the energy transition, which means the industry is being forced into a massive philosophical shift.
Right.
If the cars cannot easily get to the chargers, then you have to bring the chargers to the cars.
And that takes us out of the theoretical software realm and straight into the streets of Asia, where they're literally cutting the cord.
Yes.
I was reading a tech report on a mobility company in the Philippines called AC Mobility. They've launched this initiative called Power on Wheels, or POW.
Great acronym.
Yeah. They have deployed fleets of mobile charging vans across 16 different cities in Metro Manila. They drive these vans, which are essentially giant batteries on wheels, directly to enterprise delivery fleets, office buildings, and residential condos.
And they outfit these vans with 120 kilowatt DC fast chargers. They carry universal plug adapters, CCS2 and GBT plugs, meaning they can connect to basically any EV brand on the road.
Which sidesteps that whole headache of incompatible charging ports.
Exactly, which is a huge issue with older stations.
But the physical van is only part of it. It's tied to an app called Evro, which already has over 33,000 users. What caught my attention was their emergency charging assistance feature.
Oh yeah, this is really smart.
It functions like a digital AAA. If your EV battery drops below 5% and you're stranded in Manila traffic, you hit a button on your phone. They dispatch a trained technician in a mobile unit to give you a 20% emergency top-up.
And they can even jumpstart the 12-volt battery if your car's basic electronics, like the door locks or the screens, are completely dead.
Right, because you can't even open the charge port if the 12-volt is dead.
Exactly. It replaces the tow truck. Instead of hauling a heavy, dead electric vehicle across town to a fixed station, which is a logistical nightmare in Manila traffic, they simply bring the station to the car. It is a highly efficient use of resources.
Here's where it gets really interesting. In China, a company called Irergy is taking this mobile concept and removing the human driver entirely.
Yes, the robots.
They aren't sending vans with technicians. They are deploying autonomous energy tank robots. We are talking about AI-driven robots that roam around multi-story parking garages entirely on their own to find and charge cars.
They are essentially giant, highly intelligent power banks. From a hardware perspective, they pack massive internal batteries. Some models carry 100 to 215 kilowatt hours.
So that's enough stored energy to fully charge, what, like 3 standard household EVs?
Yeah, before needing a recharge themselves. And they output power at speeds up to 120 kilowatts.
Okay, walk me through how this actually works, though, because it sounds a bit like science fiction.
It does.
How does a giant battery on wheels find a car in a dark, concrete parking garage without crashing into concrete pillars?
They use 3D vision cameras and LiDAR sensors.
LiDAR, like what self-driving cars use?
Exactly. LiDAR is basically laser radar. It shoots out millions of laser pulses a second to create a highly accurate 3D topographical map of the garage in real time. It maps the pillars, the pedestrians, the other cars.
Oh, wow.
The robot navigates to the target vehicle, uses a mechanized arm to physically open the car's charge port, and plugs itself in autonomously.
It just plugs itself in. That's wild.
It charges the car in about 40 to 60 minutes, unplugs, and moves on to the next one. A single robot can serve 4 to 6 vehicles on one charge cycle before it navigates back to a central hub in the basement to recharge itself during off-peak hours.
And according to the pilot projects in Shanghai, the cost to the consumer for this robotic valet service is shockingly low, something like 0.07 euros per kilowatt hour.
It's very cheap.
But hold on, I really have to push back here.
Go ahead.
I understand the cool factor, but let's talk reality. Are roaming autonomous robots actually a scalable solution for a global energy transition?
That's a fair question.
Sure, you skip the 2-year wait for a construction permit. But what happens when a 500-pound robot malfunctions and scrapes the side of a brand new $100,000 Porsche in a dimly lit garage?
Whoa.
Or what happens when someone vandalizes it? It feels like you are trading construction headaches for massive, unpredictable liability and maintenance headaches. Is this just a highly engineered novelty for wealthy tech districts?
What's fascinating here is that the economic case actually holds up remarkably well, even with the liability risks. The sensor redundancy on these robots, combining LiDAR, ultrasonic sensors, and optical cameras, makes a collision incredibly rare.
Okay, what about scalability?
To answer your question about scalability, you have to look at the specific urban problems this solves. First, there's the issue of icing.
Icing, as in internal combustion engine.
Exactly. ICE-in is the term for when a gas-powered car illegally parks in a designated EV charging spot, rendering that fixed charger useless.
Oh, right.
It is a massive problem in crowded cities. With a mobile robot, designated spots don't matter. If a gas car is blocking the prime spot, the robot simply navigates around it and plugs into the EV parked 3 spaces down in a standard spot.
Oh, I see.
It effectively turns every single parking space in a 1,000-car garage into a potential charging space.
That does solve a huge friction point. I can't tell you how many times I've seen an EV driver raging because a pickup truck is parked in front of the only charger in a lot.
Right. And beyond that, think about historic areas.
Like older cities.
Yeah, if you look at older European city centers or ancient districts in Asian megacities, you legally or physically cannot bury new high-voltage commercial cables. The architecture or the preservation laws strictly forbid it.
Oh, I never thought of that.
In those zones, autonomous mobile chargers aren't just a novelty. They are arguably the only viable engineering solution to electrify those neighborhoods.
Okay, when you frame it around historic preservation and turning every spot into a charger, the economics make a lot more sense. But that brings up a secondary problem.
Which is?
Dense Asian cities or European historic districts are one thing. Taking this concept of mobile, decentralized charging and scaling it up across the sprawling, endless highways and massive delivery networks of North America, that is a completely different beast.
It is. It
Yeah.
requires a completely different logistical approach. You don't use small robots for sprawling suburbs. You use predictive mobile networks.
Right.
And right now, there is a massive land grab happening in the North American market to build exactly that.
I was looking at some PR materials for a startup called Be Charged EV. They are backed by a massive venture capital war chest, like $7 million in funding, with over $3 million dedicated strictly to buying new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal is highly aggressive. They want to build a 1,000-unit mobile charging empire stretching across the United States and down into Mexico City.
Their initial push into Mexico City is highly strategic. They are deploying mobile units there that deliver 65 to 70 kilowatts of speed, but they are specifically targeting the gig economy, Uber, and rideshare drivers.
That makes sense.
They're pulling up to these drivers and getting them fully charged in about 20 to 30 minutes.
Because for a rideshare driver, time is literally money. If they have to spend an hour hunting for a fixed charger and another hour plugged in, they are losing a significant chunk of their daily income.
Precisely. The mobile units are actually delivering faster, more reliable charging speeds than the fixed infrastructure that currently exists in that city. But the physical vans aren't the real innovation here.
No.
No, the real innovation is the dispatch software coordinating the fleet.
Yes, the PSC AI, Predictive Smart Charging. The reports highlight this platform, but I need you to ELI5 this for me to explain it like I'm 5.
Okay, sure.
Because the claim is that this platform monitors a customer's vehicle battery in real time, and it autonomously dispatches a mobile charger to them before the driver even realizes they're going to be stranded. How does an app know my car is going to die before I do?
It is all based on deep telemetry integration. The AI doesn't just look at the raw battery percentage on your dashboard. It demands access to a much wider data set.
Like what?
Well, it analyzes tomorrow's local weather forecast, knowing that a sudden drop in temperature will drain your battery's chemical efficiency faster. It syncs with your calendar to see that you have an unusually long commute across town tomorrow morning. It cross-references that with your historical driving habits.
So it's basically building a predictive model of, like, my entire day.
Exactly. It does the math, realizes you won't make it home tomorrow evening on your current charge, and it autonomously dispatches a mobile charging van to your office parking lot while you are sitting in a 2:00 p.m. meeting.
Wow.
It tops you up before the low battery light ever flashes on your dashboard.
It's like having a roadside assistance service that magically knows you are going to break down tomorrow, so they show up today to fix it.
This raises an important question. How does this shift to subscription-based, predictive, on-demand power fundamentally change the relationship between a driver and their fuel?
Oh, that's a good point.
For 100 years, fueling has been a reactive chore. You watch a gauge, you feel the anxiety of a blinking light, you actively search for a station, and you physically interrupt your journey to pump gas.
Right.
With predictive mobile charging, we're moving to a proactive, invisible service layer. It changes charging from an active chore to a passive background process that happens while you work, sleep, or shop.
That is a profound psychological shift. You just completely stop thinking about it. You pay a monthly subscription, and the energy just finds you.
Exactly.
And Be Charged is taking this model into what they call charging deserts with their Apex 300 program. These are entire communities, usually lower income or rural, that have been completely ignored by traditional fixed station developers.
Yeah.
The big developers skip them because the local demographics don't promise a fast enough return on those $50,000 hardware investments.
Mobile units allow companies to test these markets without sinking concrete. And there is an interesting philosophical split happening in how these North American companies power their mobile fleets.
How so?
Be Charged is utilizing solar integrated modular stations as their home bases. They are storing solar energy during the day and deploying it into the vans, which cuts their reliance on the municipal grid and lowers their operational energy costs by roughly 35%.
It makes the whole loop highly sustainable. But then you have competitors in this space, like SparkCharge, taking a slightly different engineering route.
Yes.
Instead of vans pumping electricity through a cable, SparkCharge is focusing heavily on ultra-fast swappable battery packs.
It is a modular approach. Instead of a van sitting next to your car for 20 minutes to charge it, a technician pulls up, physically swaps out a depleted modular battery pack for a fully charged one in about 15 minutes, and drives away.
Wow, just 15 minutes.
Yeah. SparkCharge is optimizing for immediate, rapid response hardware swapping, almost like changing the battery on a power drill.
Oh, gotcha.
BeCharged is aiming at a hybrid approach solar integration for lower costs, combined with the AI-driven predictive dispatch. But what both models prove is that mobile charging is no longer just an emergency band-aid for stranded drivers. It is becoming the core, scalable strategy for building EV infrastructure across vast geographies.
It is so easy to get swept up in all this. We're
Right.
sitting here talking about billion-dollar startups, AI robots navigating parking garages with lasers, and predictive software that knows your commuting schedule better than your own family does.
It's true.
But the reality is all this actual physical infrastructure still has to intersect with the real world. And in the real world, things have to be approved by local governments.
Ah, yes.
So we're going to leave Silicon Valley and Shanghai for a minute and look at how this grand global energy transition actually looks on a random Tuesday night at a local city council meeting.
This is where the rubber truly meets the road. Because all the venture capital algorithms in the world cannot bypass local municipal zoning laws.
Exactly. Digging through our sources, I found the actual agenda from the February 4th, 2025 City Council meeting for the City of Angels. That's Angels Camp, California. It's a small historic town.
Right.
And right there on the agenda, item 10F, approving resolution number 25-06 to accept the Calaveras Council of Governments Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure Implementation Plan.
That document right there is the local blueprint. That is how a specific small municipality is trying to figure out how to physically integrate these massive, sweeping, global EV mandates into their very localized, everyday community.
But look at what this futuristic global EV implementation plan is sandwiched between. Right before they vote on the future of transportation, they have a Proposition 218 public hearing. For context, Prop 218 is a California law requiring a rigorous public hearing process before a city can raise utility rates. So the council is having a massive, likely very heated debate regarding a maximum 3% hike in the town's water rates and a 2% hike in wastewater rates.
Standard local government stuff.
And right after the EV plan, Resolution 2507, a mayoral proclamation declaring February 14th through the 20th as Kindness Week in Calaveras County.
Kindness Week followed by wastewater debates. That really puts the whole technological revolution into perspective.
So what does this all mean? I just love the deeply grounded dichotomy here. The autonomous AI-driven global EV revolution literally has to wait its turn in line behind standard municipal water bills and a local Kindness Week proclamation in folding chairs under fluorescent lights.
It is humorous, but it is also the absolute unvarnished truth of infrastructure development. The grand energy transition will not be won solely in Silicon Valley boardrooms or by Chinese robotics firms. It relies entirely on local city councils passing implementation plans, town by town, county by county. These local officials have to balance the high-tech, abstract needs of future infrastructure against the very immediate, daily, highly practical concerns of their citizens.
Like making sure the local sewer system works?
Right. And ensuring retirees can afford their monthly water bills. The future of global transportation hinges entirely on the pace of local bureaucracy.
You can have the best AI predictive software in the world, but if the city council doesn't approve the zoning permit for the solar hub, the charger doesn't get built.
Exactly.
So to bring this all together, we're looking at a future of EV charging that looks absolutely nothing like the predictable gas stations we grew up with. It is not just a plug in a wall anymore.
Far from it.
It's predictive software knowing you need to charge before your dashboard does. It's mobile vans meeting you at your office to minimize your downtime. It's autonomous robots navigating around parked gas cars in multi-story garages. And it is all heavily intertwined with local community planning and Tuesday night city hall meetings.
It is a complete paradigm shift in how we think about energy distribution. And as we watch all these disparate pieces merge, the mobile EV chargers, the bidirectional vehicle-to-grid technology, the AI energy management, it leaves us with something incredibly fascinating to consider.
What's that?
If this evolution continues at its current pace, will our vehicles eventually stop being just a mode of transportation? If you have millions of cars constantly storing solar energy, intelligently day trading it with the utility grid, and powering our homes during peak evening hours, perhaps our cars will become the primary decentralized power grid for our cities.
That is a wild thought. The car is literally becoming the grid itself.
Exactly, making traditional centralized power plants and those fixed concrete gas stations a total relic of the past.
We started this deep dive talking about that invisible social contract we had with the gas station corner store. You pull up, you pump, you leave. But we're not just breaking that contract. We are completely ripping it up. The gas station isn't just vanishing. It's being replaced by a living, breathing, intelligent network where the power comes to you and maybe eventually comes directly from you.